NFL Week 6 Spreads and Totals Best Bets video here is live where we cover every single game in the NFL. We give you a spread and a total pick for every single game. My name is Steve. Let's have a great week here in the NFL, guys, and really get this momentum rolling.
Well, my presence isn't real. It's another bad one like this is scale. It's straight fire. All my bets straight from. You're in the house that cat made now. Straight fire.
Are y'all ready to get after it here today and make some money? Let's get after it. If you're doing Pick'em League, Survivor League, whatever you're doing, spreads and totals, we got you covered here in Week 6 of the NFL. If you guys are new, please hit that like and subscribe button. Always appreciate that, guys. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Appreciate all of your guys' support. Let's have a big day. As you guys can see, I'm an avid Bills and Lions fan. So make sure you guys keep an eye on me. If I'm picking the Lions in a Bills game, it could get dicey is all I'm saying. So last week, we ended up doing pretty good. A recap from last week in Week 5. We ended up going 8-6 on our spreads and 7-7 on our totals, so not too bad there. 15-13 overall, another winning week. We did pretty solid the week before as well. So hopefully we kind of keep that going and do a little bit better. We would have been 9-5 had the Chiefs hang down there versus the Jaguars on our spreads. We had the over in that game, which hit, but unfortunately the Chiefs did not cover. But it is what it is. I didn't mind seeing the Chiefs lose, honestly, guys. Anytime seeing the Chiefs lose is not always a bad thing. So let's get after it this week, guys. Let's see, we got our first game on tap. We got the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to MetLife to take on the New York Giants in New York. Giants are 7.5-point dogs. The total here is set to 40.5. So what's going to happen here on Thursday Night Football? Well, if you guys have known, the Eagles have had a lot of offensive problems. A.J. Brown's been tweeting. Saquon Barkley has not been carrying the football much or very well at all of late. Is that his fault? I'm going to go with not really. This offensive line has suffered a lot of injuries. Johnson, Dickerson, the list goes on and on. They've had a lot of problems on the offensive line. So on a short week, I don't think they're going to fix those problems. I will just say that. I think they're going to continue to have problems up front. They're going to continue to have problems running the football. And I think this Giants defense is pretty good. At times they haven't completely shown it this year. But I think the defense is good. I think they could keep the scoring down in this one. Jackson Dart and company for the Giants was in New Orleans last week. Obviously they lost. We took the Saints in that one. Obviously, the Giants lost that one 26-14. The under hit in that game, as well as the Saints money line, which I think we had both of those. But the Giants turned the football over on 5 consecutive possessions. That's very difficult to do. So I'm going to say they're not going to do that on Thursday Night Football. I'm going to say they're going to protect the football a little bit better. I think that's going to be a point of emphasis, obviously, for them this week. So with that being said, at home, 7.5 points is a lot here. I think the Giants could cover. Give me the Giants plus 7.5. I think the defense can hang in there. I haven't seen enough explosiveness from the Eagles to justify them being 7.5 point favorites, to be honest with you. With the meltdowns that they've had, particularly in the second half, the last couple weeks, I am not confident. I'm not confident in their offense. I'm not confident in the running game right now. The protection up front. The run blocking, I'm not confident in any of that stuff on offense. I think the defense is going to be all right, but as far as offensively, I don't trust them. I think the Giants hang around here at home. Give me the Giants plus 7.5, and give me that under 40.5 points. I think, once again, this could be a bit of an ugly game. Obviously, the Giants don't have it all figured out on offense either. So I think this will be more of a defensive duel. That is why I like the plus points and the under here. So Giants plus 7.5 and the under 40.5 points. Our next game we have on tap, this one is from London. We got the Broncos taking on the New York Jets. Like I said, from London. Jets are 7.5 point dogs in this one as well. The total here is set to 43.5. So highlights from the Jets week include no tackles on ball carriers that have the football, either receiving or rushing, allowing easy touchdowns. Lack of tackling for the Jets. Their defense has looked horrible. And I love Aaron Glenn, but man, I thought he was going to help that defense turn it up even more, and they've gotten worse since he's gotten there. So I don't know what's going on. But obviously, nothing's really working defensively for them right now. Either defending the run or the pass. Obviously, Cowboys just had their way with them last week. So, question is, do they take it overseas? Can they play any better versus the Broncos? Broncos coming off a throwing victory over the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. Biggest upset of the week. And we had the Broncos spread in that one on the positives. Again, that was another one of our hits there in that one. I believe we had the under as well. So we actually, these first two games we talked about, we did pretty good on those. But yeah, 7.5 points. Is it too much? I'm going to go ahead and say no. I think the Broncos have a lot of momentum right now. You know, we took the Giants because obviously the Eagles don't have that momentum. The Broncos have that momentum to keep this rolling versus a Jets team right now that isn't well balanced on offense. They've been picking up a lot of garbage yards in garbage time. But outside of that, offensively, they haven't looked great either. And like I said, up until the fourth quarter where they start scoring late in the game and kind of piling on some meaningless stats. But for the most part, in the first three quarters, this Jets offense hasn't been very good. Much at all this season outside of week one. So I think here, I'm going to take the Broncos to cover the 7.5. I think they'll definitely be up by a few scores in the fourth. It's just a matter of, how much do they let the Jets get back. I think they'll be able to, like I said, I think they'll win by at least 2 possessions here. Bo Nix and company has figured it out. Bo Nix has played a lot better the last few weeks. He's found himself. They got a nice running back tandem with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. I love both those running backs. They've treated us well in the betting front. We've cashed on their props the last 2 weeks. So I really think the Broncos here. I'll take the Broncos minus 7.5. I'll take the minus spread. And I'm going to take the over 43.5 points. Like I said, I like the Broncos to score a lot in this one. But like I said, with the way games go, Jets overs have tended to hit lately just because they've been scoring in garbage time. You can see that again here for sure. The Jets are obviously a good garbage time offense. So I'll give them a couple of scores here. Give me Broncos 31-17 in this one. Love it there, guys. Next game we have on tap. This is Sunday, the 1 p.m. games. We got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium. Ravens 7.5 point dogs. Total set to 44.5. So this one's fun. Obviously, we don't have official word on Lamar Jackson, but the books seem to think that he's not going to play. For whatever reason, the Ravens have a bye week right after this. So I actually think there's some equity here in Lamar Jackson playing because he's going to get the opportunity to rest after this. I don't think he'll be at full strength, but man, the Ravens really need this game. You can't really go to 1-5 and expect to make the playoffs. I don't care where the conference is at. 1-5 may be too big of a hole to climb out of. I mean, we've seen teams do it in the past, but man, you're asking for a lot. So 2-4 looks a lot better than 1-5, guys. So I think there should be some urgency here for the Ravens. So I'd be surprised if we don't see Lamar Jackson, honestly, on the field, even though the books looks like they're not thinking he's going to be. 7.5 is a lot of points for the home Ravens. I think, Harbaugh is a great coach. The defense has suffered a lot of injuries. But to say that they can't figure something out and at least kind of contain the situation and get this defense playing a little better, I think there's going to be a lot of tough conversations this week. And I think Harbaugh gets the boys up to go at home. I think the Ravens put together a much better home performance. We took the Texans last week versus the Ravens as well. But I think the Ravens have a bounce back here, guys. 7.5 is a lot of points. And the Rams, oh man, they had that meltdown on Thursday Night Football. They didn't look particularly great either. So I'm not going to give a lot of credit. This is another one of those teams that's two-score favorites. That it's kind of like the Eagles in some ways, where they just there's something off. Their offense took quite a while to wake up in that one. Their defense didn't look particularly good. Mac Jones had his way with that defense. So even if it's Cooper Rush, another week for Cooper Rush, maybe Cooper Rush plays a little better as well. But if you're making me pick this game on Wednesday like we are, I'm going to take the Ravens plus 7.5. I think it's a lot of points. There's a lot of potential for Lamar Jackson to play. Whether he does or doesn't, though, I think the Ravens have a little bit of a bounce back here in them. And I will take that over 44.5 because right now, I don't trust either defense. We saw Mac Jones tear up the Rams defense, and we saw, obviously, the Ravens defense has been getting torn up all season. So, if I was going to take a more confident pick, it'd be the over 44.5. But give me the Ravens plus 7.5 and the over 44.5 points. Next game we have on tap, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Carolina Panthers down in Carolina. Panthers back-to-back home games, Cowboys back-to-back road games. Panthers are 3.5-point dogs in this one. Total set to 49.5. So what's going to happen here? I thought what was interesting to me last week is I thought the Cowboys defense played a lot better. Like I said, up until garbage time, which I'm not going to judge their defense in garbage time too much. But outside of that, I thought the defense really showed up and played much better. We saw them getting a pass rush, albeit versus the New York Jets. But still, I thought they played pretty well on the road there in New York. Obviously, Dak and company played well. Meanwhile, for the Panthers, coming off a big come-from-behind victory over the Miami Dolphins, which they trailed 17-0, brought it all the way back and won 27-24, exchanging late scores there with the Dolphins. So, biggest storyline there for the Panthers was Rico Dowdle on the ground. He's playing against his old team here in the Cowboys, so this would be interesting. I think with the style of the Panthers running the ball, it's hard for me to imagine there being a ton of points, even though the overs technically hit last week. I still don't trust this Panthers offense enough. I don't have a lot of trust in their offense. So, with all that being said, I think the Cowboys are going to have success, obviously, on offense. Dak has been fantastic. The Panthers' defense isn't particularly great either. So give me the Cowboys minus the 3.5. I like them on the spread this week. I also do like that under 49.5 points. I just think this is a little too much to rely on the Panthers to score that many points to get to the number here. Cowboys will probably put up, 28 to 31 points. I got the Panthers, 14 to 17 range. So that gets us to the under. Even on the high end of that. So if it's 31-17 Cowboys, you got the under 49.5 there. So love it there, guys. We get the Cowboys minus 3.5 and the under 49.5 points. Next game we have on tap, the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Colts are 6.5-point favorites. Total set to 47.5 points. So what's going to happen here? We took the Colts last week to cover versus the Raiders. Same exact spread, same exact total. That's pretty crazy. So back-to-back weeks with the same scenario here. So I'm gonna go with what happened probably last week, right? First, before we get into that, I want to talk about the Cardinals side. We got to mention the Cardinals. Obviously, Cardinals a big-time meltdown at home versus the Tennessee Titans. They led 21-6. Demercado, running back for the Cardinals, was going in for the winning touchdown. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. Dropped the ball at the goal line. And it would have been 28-6 Cardinals. Instead, the game completely turned from that point. There was a couple other crazy plays that the Titans needed to have to win that game. There was an interception, and then dropped it, and then the Titans picked it up for a touchdown. It was crazy. Obviously the Cardinals, I don't know. Just nasty. Because I had them as my survivor pick. I didn't mention it in the video. But I got eliminated from my survivor pools on the Cardinals last week, which really hurt. But it is what it is. But question is, do the Cardinals have a bounce back here on the road now versus Colts? I'm going to say heck to the no. You come off a loss like that, can you recover from that? I don't think so. You can't recover from a loss like that. It wasn't just the loss. They have a lot of internal problems now, too. Obviously, with Coach Gannon and Demercado getting into it on the sideline, him putting his hands on Demercado. You guys probably saw that as well. That's not good team building, guys. I don't think the vibes are with Arizona right now. Offensively, I can't trust them. And defensively versus this Colts team, which has been fantastic offensively all season, I'm not going to trust them either. Cam Ward started lighting them up in the fourth quarter. There's more than a few reasons the Titans got back into the game. Cam Ward led the game-winning drive. The Cardinals' defense at this point, I'm not particularly trusting too much either. So give me the Colts minus the 6.5. I will take the under 47.5. Despite the Colts hanging 40 on the Raiders last week, the under still hit. It was under 46, under 47.5. The Raiders scored 6. So I think once again we'll see the under hit as well. Give me the Colts minus 6.5 and the under 47.5 points. Next game we have on tap, the Seattle Seahawks traveling down to Jacksonville at Everbank Stadium to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are minus 1.5 point favorites. This line did flip after Monday night's result versus the Kansas City Chiefs, where they pulled off a huge home victory over Kansas City. Trevor Lawrence, 2 rushing touchdowns. You guys know the deal. He was laying on the ground, got back up, ran it in, and the Jaguars had a throwing home victory. Maybe their best victory they've had in 10 plus years. Well, I don't want to say 10 plus years. They did make the AFC Championship, I think, before that with Blake Bortles. So they probably had some better wins in that time, more throwing. But one of their better wins, definitely in the Trevor Lawrence era for sure. Well, I say that, but you got to go back to that Chargers game in the playoffs too. Actually, that one probably takes the cake. But this will be number 2, because it's the second best victory they've had. Here, obviously, momentum is very good right now with the Jags. We love what we saw from them last week. Travis Hunter contributed greatly. ETN is obviously going to be a factor here as well. I love what ETN's doing this season as well. Seattle coming off a tough 38-35 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. Offense obviously was cooking. They put up 35 points, but Baker absolutely decimated that defense. And an undermanned Bucs offense might have you. Mike Evans was out. A couple guys on the offensive line were out. And they still put it on the Seahawks. So Seahawks now traveling to East Coast. And an early start. They're coming from the Northwest. I think this is going to be tough on the Seahawks, to be honest, especially with everything that's going right now with Jacksonville. I'm going to take the Jags minus 1.5. I really like the momentum that's with their ball club right now. I think they're really solid. I like their coach, Liam Cohen. Love the running game. Love what Trevor Lawrence is doing right now, too, showing a lot of grit. What he did on Monday night was fantastic. So I think the Jags here win at home. I think they could, take advantage of this defense, which is, missing a few players here on the back end or dealing with some injuries here. And their defense has not impressed me the last couple weeks. Despite all the heavy praise for the Seahawks defense the first couple weeks of the season, last couple weeks in Arizona and versus Tampa Bay, they haven't looked particularly great. Arizona was having success too. So I will take the Jags minus the 1.5, and I will take that over 46.5 points. I love both these offenses, so I think we'll see a lot of points in this one. And both defenses are definitely capable of giving up points. We saw Patrick Mahomes also tear up this Jags defense as well. So I think it'll be a higher scoring game, but give me the Jags minus 1.5 and the over 46.5 points. Next game we have on tap for you, the Los Angeles Chargers travel down to Miami to take on the Miami Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium. Dolphins 4.5 point underdogs. The total here is set to 43.5. So what's going to happen here? Well, Dolphins coming off a really tough road loss to the Panthers, 27-24, in which they had a 17-0 lead. We had the Dolphins money line in that one as one of our official picks, and they obviously sold the bag on us. That obviously hurt. Chargers coming off a very difficult 20-10 home loss to the Washington Commanders. Their offense fell apart after getting a 10-0 lead. They did nothing after they scored the first 10 of the game. Biggest problems right now for the Chargers lay on the offensive line. They're not giving Herbert time, particularly on the outside. Edge rushers are getting to Herbert and giving him a lot of trouble, and this offense is not getting in rhythm. So the question is, they travel down to Miami, another West Coast team traveling east. Are they going to cover 4.5? I think that's a big number. I know the Dolphins haven't been great, but they've shown a lot of improvement the last few weeks. They've been close in a lot of these games. So with all that being said, I do think the offenses will be able to have some success here. The Dolphins, like I said, with Waller now, have looked pretty good offensively. Waller had a huge game, catching another touchdown last week. And Dolphins' offense really wasn't the problem. We talk about Tyreek Hill being out. Darren Waller played great. Achane played great. Offensively for the Chargers, they do have a better matchup here now with the Dolphins, I think. Dolphins have really struggled on the back end. So I think Herbert will be able to get back on track a little bit here. But still, I think the Dolphins will cover the 4.5. I think that's kind of a big number. for a home team. So give me the points here with the Dolphins plus 4.5. And we'll take the over 43.5. Both these offenses are capable of putting up numbers with obviously Tua and Justin Herbert here. I think we'll see an over here as well. So Dolphins plus 4.5 and the over 43.5 points. Next game we have on tap, the Cleveland Browns traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers 5-point favorites here. In this one, total set to 38.5. News out of Cleveland this week, Joe Flacco was officially traded to the Cincinnati Bengals, so that quarterback room for the Browns has been clarified with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders at backup. So Gabriel in his first start looked pretty solid versus Minnesota. I thought he made some good decisions, some good throws. Obviously, he's a rookie, so there were some things he needs to clean up, but overall, it wasn't too bad there from Dylan Gabriel. Certainly didn't mind what we saw from him. Browns defense, for the most part, played pretty good. They kind of gave it up late, though. Vikings ended up winning that game. Obviously, they were 21-17. So, one of those things, guys, where, I thought the Browns defense, once again, played pretty solid most of the game. And Gabriel now getting his second start at Pittsburgh. It's going to be a little tough, but I do think the Browns hang around here. I think 5 points to cover for the Steelers is a lot. I'm not quite sold on the Steelers yet, despite the record. They look decent. They're definitely not horrible. I'm not saying that. But I still think they're going to have trouble, consistently running the football. Aaron Rodgers is still 40 years old, so he could still have some of those moments as well. And with Myles Garrett coming after him, I think it's going to be tough. So I don't necessarily see this as an easy game for the Steelers. I think the Browns can hang around. So do like the Browns here plus the 5. I will take the over 38.5. I think this is just a little too low. Obviously any total that's in the 30s, I'm always tempted to take the over just because you don't need a crap ton to happen, right? So given that, I do think we'll see an overhit here. The Steelers defense has certainly been vulnerable this season at different points. If the Browns can just get to 20 points here, obviously we'll be set. Even if they get to, let's see, is it 18 points they need to get to hit both? I'm trying to think of what we need for both. But I do think we'll see some points here. I think Gabriel will play well. I love Quinshon Judkins for the Browns. I think he'll be able to do some damage here as well. And give me the Browns plus 5 and give me that over 38.5 points. All right, next game we have on tap. New England Patriots traveling down to New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Saints. Saints back-to-back home games. Patriots back-to-back road games. Saints 3.5-point underdogs. Total here set to 45.5. Let me just tell you something about Drake May. Drake May showed you something on Sunday Night Football there versus the Buffalo Bills. I think he officially had his coming out party. He took a step up as far as where we have to consider him in the quarterback rankings. His connection with Diggs was obviously fantastic. Diggs and him cooked the Bills all night. And kudos to the Patriots for pulling that off. Now, obviously, I'm a Bills fan, so that definitely hurt. But I did take the Patriots on the spread in that one. And part of that is just, obviously, the Patriots have played the Bills pretty well over the last couple of seasons. But it is that progression with Drake May, right? We're seeing something different from him this year. He is taking a step up in his play. We've seen it really the last few weeks. And outside of a bad turnover game versus Pittsburgh, New England really should be 4-1 right now. They played the Raiders in week 1. I still don't know how they lost to the Raiders because of how the Raiders have looked. So this Patriots team, I think, has improved so much since that loss to the Raiders. They look so good, so crisp right now on offense with Drake May. Stephon Diggs is really settled in as his favorite target. This running game can be dangerous. They did just lose Gibson for a while, but you got Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. I like both those backs as well. Love this offense. This defense has made big improvements as well. Really held Josh Allen down. They did phenomenal versus him. So in this one, I am going to take the Patriots to cover the 3.5. I know it's a tough spot for them. Back-to-back road games, and the Saints are just hanging out at home. I know it's tough, but I think the Patriots are simply that much better right now. I think the Patriots cover the 3.5. Give me the under 45.5. I think this Patriots defense in particular is going to get after it. And May and company will do enough to cover the spread, but also that under will hit as well. So give me Patriots 3.5, minus 3.5, and the under 45.5 points. Next game we have on tap, the Tennessee Titans traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Raiders here 4.5-point favorites versus the Titans. Total set to 41.5. Do we really have to watch this game? Is that a requirement? Do we have to cap this game? We do. We're going to cover every game. But man, this is like the ugliest game of the week, right? Two offenses that have been anemic. Two defenses that have been anemic. I mean, this is, what do you even do here? Well, how much do you want to make of that Titans performance down in Arizona? I'm not going to make anything of it because you know what? They got about as lucky as a team can get. And they had that game absolutely gifted to them. That was not any credit to the Titans in my opinion. Outside of the last drive where they drove down for the field goal, they looked just like they have every other week. They looked horrible, okay? Giving up big plays on the ground. Demercado, let's not forget, that was going to be like a 70-yard touchdown run until he dropped the ball. That's got nothing to do with the Titans. That's all I'm saying. So, with that being said, I trust what the Raiders have a lot more with Pete Carroll and even Geno Smith, even though he's played horrible. I think he could turn it around a little bit here. I've mentioned before that, you know, until we see a good Geno Smith game, I'm not going to trust him. I'm not particularly trusting him here. I'm just saying, feet to the fire, if you're making me pick a pick, I'm going to take the Raiders to cover just because I think the Titans are that bad on both sides of the ball. And I'm not ready to buy a lot of stock in Cam Ward yet. Give me one more performance from Cam Ward before we start buying some stock in him. So that being said, it's going to be an ugly game. I don't think we're not going to see a ton of points in this one. So I'll take the Raiders minus the 4.5 and give me that under 41.5 points as well here in this one. And hopefully, obviously, the Raiders coming back home do a little bit better than they did versus the Colts because that was embarrassing, guys. So yeah, give me the Raiders minus 4.5 and the under 41.5 points. Next game we have on tap, the San Francisco 49ers traveling down to Tampa Bay in Raymond James Stadium to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 3-point favorites here on this one. Total set to 47.5. Obviously, both these teams competed in very high-scoring games last week. 49ers and the Rams, that game hit the over in that one, and the Bucs and the Seahawks obviously hit the over in that one with 73 points. So right away, my mind is already thinking over on this one, just because of that. And really defensively, we haven't seen these teams. I'd say the 49ers, honestly, in some ways, didn't look horrible last week defensively until later on in the game. Then they kind of wore down. But Baker has just been on another level, right? Baker's doing something different. Man, this guy's jumping up into the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now at this point. He's right up there. You got to put him up there with Josh Allen, Burrow, Mahomes. I can't really say Burrow just because he's out right now. But Baker Mayfield's in that company. So we have to give him a lot of respect. He's doing a lot with a little. Mike Evans has been out all this time. It doesn't really matter who's in there right now. Baker's still getting it done. So you got to be very impressed with what he's doing. And I certainly have been. And a lot of respect right now to the Bucs. Meanwhile, for the 49ers, with Mac Jones and company, they look fantastic on Thursday night. Mac Jones got beat up a little bit in that one. But overall, the 49ers look pretty good there in that one versus the Rams. Really got their offense cooking. We saw receivers like Kendrick Bourne making huge plays all over the field. Obviously, Mac Jones and him have a very good connection. So, looking at that again here in this one. So, my lean in this one is definitely, I'm going to take the Bucs minus the 3. They're the home team. And right now, Baker, I got to give a big edge in the quarterback position to Baker Mayfield over Mac Jones. Even though both quarterbacks played well, I still got to give Baker the respect and the love here, and obviously we gotta give the edge here to the Bucs in this one. So I will take the Bucs minus the 3, and I'm gonna particularly take that over 47.5 points. I love the over here. We've seen both these teams lately competing in a lot of higher scoring games. And I think we'll see that again here in this one. I think both offenses will be able to get after it again. So give me the Bucs -3 and the over 47.5 points. Next game we have on tap, the Cincinnati Bengals traveling up to Green Bay to take on the Packers at Lambeau. Packers are 14.5 point favorites. The total set to 44.5. So I believe this is either tied for the biggest spread so far on the season. Not on an opening line, they'll be the second highest to that Bills-Saints game. So the question is can the Packers cover a big number? Well, the Packers have been relatively underwhelming the last couple weeks. Losing to the Browns and then tying versus the Cowboys. So they had a very bad road trip. And we had to kind of rethink our position on the Packers and how good they are. And are they worthy of being a top 5 team anymore? Or are they just kind of like last year where they're good, but they're not like anything that's overly scary? And here I got to say, I don't. Their defense just has been, the defense obviously down in Dallas wasn't very good. Offensively, at times, they didn't look good in that game despite putting up all the points. They kind of got things going late. But definitely have seen some inconsistency now on both sides of the ball the last couple weeks. So it's definitely something worth knowing. The Bengals just picked up Joe Flacco. So I think that's huge. I think he'll end up playing in this one. How much, does he end up starting? What ends up happening there? I do think he'll end up playing. He will definitely give them the best chance, I think, to win. His ability to throw the ball down the field to guys like Chase and Higgins. So with that being said, I think the Bengals offense is going to look a lot better again. I think it's going to make a big difference having a guy that has a lot of experience and that can throw the ball down the field. So I do think the Bengals are going to cover here. A lot of people don't. A lot of people have the Packers, which I respect it. But I'm going to take the Bengals to plus 14.5. I'm not, right now, with the Packers, like I said, last couple weeks, a lot of inconsistency there. And you can't have that covering a big spread. They're going to win the game, but are they going to win by 3 scores? I'm not confident in that. I think the Bengals can hang around here. And they started looking better for what it's worth versus Detroit and parts of that game. But I think Flacco's going to give him a little bit of an extra boost here. I will take the Bengals to plus 14.5. Give me that over 44.5 points because the Bengals defense is trash. No, I can't say anything else about it. So the Packers are going to score. That wasn't my question. Can the defense hold the Bengals to like 0 or 7 points? I think the Bengals would get up, 17 points or so. This is another one of those type of 31-17 type games. I could see that being the case here again. So give me Bengals plus 14.5 and the over 44.5 points. Next game on tap, Detroit Lions traveling to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs at beautiful Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Sorry. Chiefs are minus 1.5 on the spread, minus 1.5 point favorites. Total set to 52.5 points. So the question is, you guys got to watch me on this one because I'm a diehard Detroit Lions fan and a Buffalo Bills fan. So you got to watch me on these next 2 games. Keep me in check here. But I will say, the Lions went from a week 1 performance versus Green Bay where we thought the sky was falling. They've ripped off 4 in a row. Their offense looks back to what it was last year. They look dominant again offensively. Defensively, their front 7 is really good. Obviously, they were with Aiden Hutchinson. Back end, dealing with some injuries at corner. So obviously, that's definitely a problem in this one. So the question is, can the Lions hang in there? Can they pull off the road upset like they did last year in week 1? I believe it was last year they played the Chiefs, or it might have been 2 years ago. They went into Kansas City and won, and really had their way with the Chiefs. The question marks, on this one, guys, really on both sides on the defensive end. And really, I was left with more questions on the Chiefs defense after that Monday night performance versus Jacksonville. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence had his way. They really started getting things going. I thought there were holes there in the running game as well. They didn't always capitalize, but I thought the Jags could have gotten things going more with the run game than they did. So I think this is going to be the problem for Kansas City. I don't think they're going to stop the run in this one. I have a feeling like Montgomery and Gibbs are going to give them a lot of trouble. Because what they offer is a ton of versatility. Obviously, Montgomery between the tackles, Gibbs could beat you on the outside, and I think they're going to give the Chiefs a lot of trouble, like they would just about any other team. And the Chiefs right now, like I said, are a bit vulnerable. Their defense has not been quite up to snuff, obviously, in that game versus Jacksonville, giving up the 31 points and losing that one. And then Lions have a lot of momentum going with them right now. Like I said, 4 straight wins. Chiefs coming off, like I said, that loss on Monday night, short week. This is going to be tough. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions plus the 1.5, guys. I know. I am a Lions fan, but I really think they go into Kansas City again and kind of have their way offensively. Defensively, I think it could be a little bit of a challenge. So that is why I'm going to take the over 52.5 points. I think it will be a very high-scoring game. Very high-scoring game. But I think the Lions win this one and at least, definitely cover the 1.5. So give me Lions plus the 1.5 and the over 52.5 points. Next game on tap, we have the Buffalo Bills traveling down to Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 4-point underdogs here versus the Buffalo Bills. Total set to 48.5 points. So Bills coming off that tough loss to New England last week at home. Very disappointing loss, obviously, for them. They were 8.5-point favorites, a loss that went straight up 23-20 there versus New England on a game-winning field goal. Atlanta, obviously coming off the bye week. And previous week they played the Commanders. Big win at home there versus Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. So they weren't playing Jaden Daniels. That's something worth noting. So, what happens here down in Atlanta? Atlanta had some time here to prepare. Bills, obviously not feeling good after the loss. Honestly, guys, I know. I'm sticking with the homer picks. I really do think the Bills go into Atlanta and get this done, though. It's hard for me to imagine them losing back-to-back games. I think part of the issue here has been, obviously, Josh Allen, what they've been trying to do on offense is spreading the ball around a lot. But they're not really... There's something missing with this offense. It almost feels like they're afraid to open it up and let Josh Allen just be Josh Allen. So I think here, maybe they get back to more of that here on the road versus Atlanta in the Dome. I think Josh Allen certainly has a bounce back here in him. I'm a little concerned about the Bills' defense, but they should be getting some guys back on the defensive line for this one, getting a little bit healthier up front. And if that's the case, I think they could kind of shut down this, kind of limit this Falcons run game. And if you can limit the run game, they're in real trouble because I don't trust their aerial attack. I need to see more from Michael Penix Jr. before we start making that claim. But overall, I think the Bills here have a bounce back in them on Monday night, guys. I'm going to take the Bills -4. Pretty low point spread here for the Bills. And I'm going to take the under 48.5 points. Like I said, I think, the Falcons are going to try to get this game going on the run to limit, obviously, Josh Allen and the Bills. So in either case, I think we'll see. I do think we'll definitely see the under hit in this one. But yeah, give me the Bills -4 and give me the under 48.5 points here. Final game of the week. We got the Chicago Bears traveling to Washington to take on the Washington Commanders at Northwest Stadium. Commanders 4.5-point favorites. Total set to 49.5. If you guys recall from last year, this is that crazy game where Stevenson of the Bears was celebrating on the goal line preemptively. It came down to a Hail Mary, and it was actually Stevenson that tipped the ball, I believe, to the Washington Commanders player, and the Commanders won on a walk-off Hail Mary. It was pretty wild. So definitely some demons to exercise here for the Bears. So, going on the road here Monday night. But I do like what we've seen from the Bears the last couple of weeks, getting a couple of wins there. Over the Cowboys, which looks a lot better now. That win over the Cowboys looks fantastic. And then they did beat the Raiders. Granted, they didn't win by a lot over the Raiders. They won by, 1 point there over the Raiders. But they did get the win. Like I said, they've looked a lot better. I've certainly liked what we've seen from Chicago of late. Ben Johnson seemed to figure some things out offensively there for Caleb Williams. So the question is, can the Bears hang around here versus a Commanders team with Jaden Daniels And them coming off a big 20-10 win last week versus the Chargers. And this total set to 49.5. I'm going to say, yeah. I think the Bears, like I said, Ben Johnson's a special offensive coordinator, guys. So if he was able to figure something out with Caleb Williams and company, I think their offense continues to hum a little bit here versus the Commanders' defense, which I still have a lot of questions about. I think the Bears can certainly hang around in this one. I'm not saying they win the game, but 4.5 is a lot of points. You got to win by more than a field goal. And I think, the Commanders with Jaden Daniels coming back, the offense didn't look, crazy explosive last week, right? They put up 20 points, but it didn't look crazy. So that's why I said I think it could be close, because I think the lack of explosiveness right now. So I do like the Bears plus the 4.5, and I will take that under 49.5 as well for the mentions, the reasons mentioned there. I don't think we'll see, huge plays from the Commanders. That'd be the only thing that would, concern me with the total. I think they'll be able to limit that, and if we're gonna see touchdowns, we'll see the long methodical drives, which in that point would lead more to an under. So do like the Bears plus the 4.5 and the under 49.5 points, guys. All right, guys, that is it for our picks for the weeks. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Always appreciate it, guys. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Appreciate all of your guys' support as always. Let's have a big week in the NFL, guys. I need to do at least, we got 15 games. Let's shoot for 10-5 on spreads and 10-5 on totals. I'd be pretty happy with that. Obviously, it's hard to get every pick right, but hopefully we have a good week here. So, appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Make sure you guys check out all of our content here at the channel. Go to our channel homepage. We'll have a lot of videos coming out for NFL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA is starting soon, guys. That is our biggest thing here at the channel is the NBA, so make sure you guys check that out as well. All right, guys, without further ado, have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time. Peace out.